My name is Shelby Vance, 29 years old. The steakhouse glows like a watch face at midnight. Everything polished to a mirror. Marble floors, brass rails, servers and jackets that look tailored out of rent money. The clink of heavy silverware against bone china rings in tidy waves around us, an orchestra of appetite. I sit at the head of a table for 8, watching a waiter pour a Cabernet that will add another $300 to what will inevitably be my tab. My father swirls his wine with the practiced air of a man who believes fine things are gravity, and he is their natural center. At 60, Arthur's silver hair is still thick, his Brooks Brothers suit still fits, and his confidence remains wonderfully unbothered by the fact that he hasn't earned a paycheck in 5 years. "How's the market treating you, Shelby?" he asks. Not because he cares, but because he's thinking about his mortgage. "It's fine," I say, clipped. In our family, "how's the market" is code for "when's my next check?" My mother sits beside him, Eleanor in pearls and curated warmth, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the chandelier's light each time she motions to a server as if directing an invisible string quartet. At 58, she's still beautiful in the country club way, highlights refreshed every 6 weeks, skin airbrushed by whatever she got last month. "Darling," she says, voice honeyed, eyes calculating. "Did I mention Chloe and Spencer finally found the perfect venue?" Across from me, my sister's engagement ring flashes, a 3-carat sun because Spencer Davenport III doesn't do anything small. Chloe beams. "It's a 16th century villa in Tuscany," she gushes, her voice half a laugh. "Vineyards, private chef. The views are unreal." Spencer nods like a man accustomed to nodding, while Money does the talking, handsome as a brochure and about as specific. Julian sits 2 seats down, his hand under the table where Maya can find it. My brother, 32, always the quiet one, the teacher, the gentle resistor who slipped family gravity by becoming ordinary on purpose. Aunt Beatrice sips her martini with the clinical interest of a scientist watching an old experiment rerun. She's the only person at the table who seems to notice which phone my father keeps screened down near his bread plate. It's not the one he answered in front of the maitre d'. That detail lodges in me and waits. "The resort is divine," my mother continues, steering conversation like a surgeon guiding a scalpel. "They just need the $15,000 deposit to hold the date." She pauses, smiling with chandelier brightness. "I'll send you the wire info." The table's attention lands on me like a spotlight. I set my water down carefully, as if any sudden movement might crack the glass. "Actually," I say, and my voice isn't trembling the way it wants to, "I can't swing 15 right now. I'm building my own emergency fund." Silence coagulates. Spencer studies his napkin. Chloe's smile collapses a millimeter. The approaching waiter pivots mid-stride and retreats, the choreography of avoidance. My father breaks the quiet with a bark of laughter that startles a couple at the neighboring table. "Savings," he says, louder than necessary, as if the room itself needs to hear. "Your job is to earn." He leans closer, voice lowering to the register that always made me small. "How does it feel to be the only useless ATM here?" They chuckle obediently, everyone but Julian and Maya. The laugh lands like a slap. The air shimmers and shifts. And suddenly I'm 10 again at the dining room table while my mother doles out life sentences dressed as compliments. Julian is the free spirit. Chloe is the beauty. And you, Shelby, you're the smart one, our retirement plan. Later, I'm 24, a junior analyst with student loans, answering a call from Eleanor in a hospital whisper. "If we lose this house, the stress will kill me. My life is in your hands." I said yes that night. For a month, I said. It turned into 5 years. The memory dissolves. The clinking resumes. But something in me, worn thin over 5 years and sharpened in 3 months of therapy, cracks cleanly, a fault line finally sliding into place. I smile. It isn't my usual smile, the one that promises I'll fix everything. It's colder, steadier, like frost forming. "You're right, Dad," I say, placing my fork down with deliberate care. "A useless ATM should be out of service." The laughter stops. My mother's face tightens almost imperceptibly. Shelby, don't be dramatic. You're embarrassing us. I've never been more serious. I pull out my phone, fingers moving with the calm of someone executing a checklist in a cockpit. First, I'm canceling the $4,000 mortgage payment scheduled for Monday. Tap. Done. Another tap. Next, I'm removing your numbers from my Zelle and Venmo. I look up. Done. Eleanor goes colorless in stages like a Polaroid developing in reverse. Arthur reddens, the purple beginning at his collar and climbing. I slide my corporate card onto the linen. This covers my meal and a glass of wine. The rest is on you. Arthur shoves his chair back so hard the table jumps. You ungrateful. After everything we've done for you. I stand too, suddenly aware of how tall my spine can be when I let it. What have you done? I paid for my own school. I've been paying your mortgage. My gaze moves across faces I've loved like obligations. I'm done. The hush that follows feels like clean air. I walk, heels tapping out a metronome on marble. Heads turn. The massive front doors breathe out cold night as I step into it, and the air wraps around me like a promise. In the Uber, my phone becomes a trapped bee. Buzz, 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 urging panic back into my lungs. Messages streak down the screen like a slot machine I never wanted to play. Eleanor, you'll kill me. Is that what you want? Call me now. Arthur, fix this. This tantrum ends today. Chloe, you've ruined everything. The venue won't hold the date. My hands shake so hard I nearly drop the phone, a nausea rising that tastes like old fear. Then a new message appears. Julian, are you okay? That was incredible. I read it twice, 3 times, a small warmth uncoiling behind my ribs. Julian's never sided with me against them, not once. That it arrives now feels like a lighthouse winking on. Morning finds me restless, lungs too full to pretend through meetings. I call out sick, not a lie, because there is a sickness to unlearning, and sit with coffee that goes cold while my phone keeps muttering. By afternoon, the tone shifts from outrage to strategy. Arthur, the bank is calling. What did you do? Eleanor, please. They're threatening notices. My therapist's phrasing floats back to me. When someone loses access to your compliance, they call it cruelty. At 7:14, the buzzer shrieks through my apartment like an alarm. I open the security feed. Arthur's face fills the screen, anger distorting features that used to be a map to safety. He jabs the button again, jaw working. I watch, my finger hovering over ignore, then lowering. In the lobby, my doorman, Hector, stands between him and the elevators with a calm that makes me want to cry. I need to see my daughter, Arthur demands. Now. This is a family emergency. Hector doesn't blink. Sir, if Ms. Vance wanted to see you, she would have authorized entry. Do you know who I am? Arthur snaps. My money. Sir, Hector says, now cool as ice. Leave the premises, or I will call the police. Arthur points like he's conducting a symphony of rage. You listen to me, you little. That's enough. Hector picks up the phone. The threat is a pin to a balloon. Arthur's shoulders sag. He remembers he is Arthur Holloway, respectable on paper. Just tell her I was here, he mutters. He leaves. 20 minutes later, a slip of paper appears under my door, skittering in on a draft I didn't know I had. I pick it up. The pen pressed so hard the words nearly carved through. You owe us. Fix this. Not I love you, not let's talk, not even I'm sorry. I breathe in, slow, count of 3, and slide the paper into a folder I label, without ceremony, evidence. Chloe arrives by text right on cue. Mom is having palpitations. The doctor says it's stress-induced. Please just pay it. I see the shape of the old pattern. Panic, guilt, transfer, relief. And it no longer fits me. 3 months ago, I would have Venmo'd $15,000 while apologizing for the inconvenience of my boundaries. Tonight, I text back a single word. No. Then I block her number and stare at the tiny final square that appears beside her name. The room feels both larger and quieter at once. From the street below, a siren floats up and fades. I turn off my phone and set it face down on the counter, aware of how rarely I let anything be out of reach. In the glass of my window, I catch my reflection. Tired, yes, but steadier than the woman who walked into that dining room. Somewhere below the fear and the automated caretaking are numbers, timelines, pings, signatures, patterns I've excused as love. I brew tea I won't drink and lay out a legal pad, a pen, my laptop. At dawn, I will call my advisor. I will ask for a complete audit of every dollar that left my accounts in 5 years. I will turn this messy ache into lines on a ledger and watch it become evidence. On the table, my corporate card still sits in its sleeve from dinner, the last token of a role I was trained to play. In the hallway outside, footsteps pass and fade. I switch off the kitchen light, and the apartment settles around me in a way that feels like consent. For the first time in years, I am not negotiating with the night. I am preparing for morning. The morning light breaks through my blinds like an interrogation lamp. The apartment feels too quiet, too honest. I make coffee and sit at the table where the note still lies. You owe us. Fix this. The ink shines slightly where Arthur's pen had pressed too hard, as if even his words refused to bend. I open my laptop, log into my accounts, and feel my pulse quicken. There's a nausea in the pit of my stomach, the kind that comes before a truth you already suspect. Mark Wilson, my financial advisor, answers on the first ring. He's calm, practiced, the voice of someone who's seen panic before. Shelby, everything okay? I need a complete audit, I say. 5 years. Every transfer, every recurring payment with the Holloway name on it. There's a pause, soft but telling. That's going to be a lot of data. I know, I reply. I'll come in. 2 hours later, I'm in his office downtown. The place smells faintly of cedar polish and ink, everything too pristine to belong to real life. Mark greets me with his usual professional smile, but it fades when he sees my expression. He doesn't ask questions, just pulls up my files. Numbers bloom on the monitor like bruises. For 2 hours, we trace each transaction. The mortgage payments, the wire transfers labeled temporary, the credit card auto pays I forgot existed. He highlights totals in yellow, then green, then red. By the time we reach the last entry, the sum glows on screen, $350,000. The figure looks unreal, a typo, a misplaced comma. That's what you've sent to them since 2018, Mark says quietly. I let out a laugh that sounds wrong in the room. 350,000. That's a house. Mark folds his hands. It's also your future, Shelby. My throat tightens. I stare at the rows of digits, remembering every emergency. The dental surgery that never happened, the car that was totaled but showed up at Thanksgiving, the property taxes I supposedly forgot. The pattern is there, almost elegant in its cruelty. Mark, I say after a moment, I want you to check something else. My credit report. He hesitates. You think... I don't know what I think anymore. He nods, types. The silence stretches while the page loads. Then he exhales, a sound like a warning. Shelby, there are 3 active credit cards here, opened 2 years ago. A personal loan, too. I frown. I don't have... They're all in your name, he says, turning the screen toward me. But the mailing address is... your parents' estate in Westchester. The words hit like a punch. I lean closer, reading the balances. Each one nearly maxed out. Total debt, $60,000. For a moment, the world tilts. You're saying they stole my identity? Mark's tone softens. That's exactly what I'm saying. I stare at the numbers until they blur. There's a roaring in my ears, like standing under a waterfall of betrayal. I think of my mother's voice trembling over the phone, "My life is in your hands," and feel the phrase rot into irony. They didn't just take my money, I whisper. They took my name. Mark slides a card across the desk. You'll need a lawyer and fast. I can recommend someone. But first, call the credit bureaus. File fraud reports today. By the time I leave his office, the world looks different. Colder, but clearer. Back home, I spread documents across my dining table. Statements, screenshots, bank confirmations. I start labeling everything with sticky notes. Mortgage, loan, credit, guilt. My apartment transforms into a crime scene, and I'm both detective and victim. I call each credit bureau in turn, my voice steady in ways that surprise me. Fraud alerts, account freezes, case numbers. With each call, I feel something shifting, like strength rediscovering its coordinates. The phone vibrates with messages all afternoon. My parents have realized something's wrong. Eleanor, Shelby, please. They're saying our account is frozen. Arthur, you will regret this childish nonsense. Chloe, Mom is crying. You're scaring her. Why are you doing this? I ignore them all. For the first time, silence feels like armor. At sunset, I dial another number. Dr. Fisher's office, the receptionist answers. This is Shelby Vance. I need an emergency session. 2 hours later, I'm in the familiar armchair, the smell of Earl Grey tea floating in the air. The room is safe, soft lit, but my pulse is sharp. They open credit lines in my name, I say. They've been stealing from me for years. Dr. Fisher doesn't flinch. You sound calm. I'm not, I admit. I need to understand how I let it happen. She leans forward slightly. You didn't let it happen. You were conditioned. They built a system where guilt was currency and you kept paying to feel worthy. Her words land like steady hammers. I inhale. So what now? Now, she says, you stop reacting like a victim and start acting like a strategist. Strategist, I repeat, testing the shape of it. It feels strange, but right. Good, she says. Strategists plan. They don't panic. That night, I draft emails to every contact that might help. Fraud departments, legal clinics, a lawyer named Cynthia Blackwell, recommended by Dr. Fisher, infamous for her scorched earth approach to financial crimes. I hesitate before hitting send. Once this starts, there's no going back. But then I picture Arthur's face at the door, the fury, the entitlement. I hit send. By midnight, I've frozen every account tied to their names. My phone buzzes nonstop. I turn it face down. At 1:00 a.m., a voicemail arrives. My mother's voice trembles between anger and desperation. Shelby, the bank called. They're threatening foreclosure. Please, honey, this isn't you. Just fix this before it gets worse. I delete it. Another follows minutes later, sharp-edged. After all the sacrifices we made, this is how you repay us? We raised you to be generous. Delete. Then Arthur. You'll regret this. You're nothing without us. Delete. For the first time in my life, deleting their voices feels like breathing. The next morning, Cynthia Blackwell calls. Dr. Fisher said you need legal firepower, she says, brisk, no small talk. Walk me through the numbers. I do. She doesn't interrupt, just listens, occasionally scribbling. When I finish, she whistles softly. That's not family drama, Ms. Vance. That's felony fraud. The word felony echoes in my chest. I don't want them in prison, I say quietly. Then you want leverage, she replies. Leverage is power without pity. I can work with that. She tells me to gather everything. Bank statements, screenshots, voicemails, even the note Arthur left. Keep it chronological, she says. We're going to build a narrative that prosecutors can't ignore. I hang up and start scanning. The printer hums through the afternoon. Each page adds weight to a growing stack, each line another brick in a wall I should have built years ago. At dusk, the city outside glows gold and bruised. I sit on the floor, surrounded by evidence. My stomach knots, but not from fear this time, from resolve. My parents' last message comes at 9:00 p.m. Eleanor, I can't sleep. Your father's chest hurts. Please, Shelby, don't destroy this family. I look at the phone until the words lose meaning. I think of Dr. Fisher's question last week. When will you stop confusing guilt with love? I don't reply. Instead, I whisper to the empty room. I'm not destroying it. I'm ending the lie it was built on. Then I open my laptop, create a folder titled The Holloway Case, and drag every file inside. For the first time, I feel like I'm building something that belongs entirely to me. Not for them, not against them, just mine. Outside, sirens wail somewhere far away, fading into the hum of the city. I close the blinds, shut down my phone, and write the first line of a list I intend to follow like scripture. 1. Stop apologizing. 2. Finish gathering evidence. 3. Call Cynthia at 8:00 a.m. sharp. The list glows faintly on my desk, a map out of the maze. Tomorrow, the strategist will begin. The conference room looks like a place where truth goes to be stapled and filed. Fluorescent lights hum, a white noise that makes everything feel both sterile and exposed. The table is too smooth, the glass water pitchers too full. On one end sits a small dictation mic with a blinking red eye. On my side, stacked binders. Labeled with dates and subjects, clear sleeves holding screenshots, and, in the top pocket, The note Arthur slid under my door. You owe us. Fix this. On the other side, 2 empty chairs. I keep my palms flat and still. Strategists plan. They don't panic. Cynthia Blackwell stands at the window with the controlled stillness of a fencer before the lunge. Remember, she says without turning, today isn't theater, it's a notice of terms. She gestures to a second folder with a blue tab, supplemental. We lead with the report. We end with options. No improvisations, Ms. Vance. I nod. I've been rehearsing silence the way I used to rehearse apologies. At exactly 10:12 a.m., the door opens. Arthur enters first in a navy suit that fits like a costume, too crisp, too careful. Eleanor follows in pearls and a pale silk blouse, the color washed from her face, her smile pre-assembled and a beat too slow. Arthur doesn't look at the binders. He looks at me, the way men look at lines that won't bend. Shelby, he says, dropping his voice to paternal gravity, the timbre that used to make my insides fold. This has gone far enough. Eleanor reaches for me across the table, not touching, hands hovering, performative tremble. Honey, why are we here? We can talk at dinner, like a family. Cynthia slides into her chair, a precise motion. We are talking as a family, she says, crisp. We're also talking as counsel for Ms. Vance. This meeting is being recorded. She taps the blinking dot. Arthur's jaw ticks. He sits. Eleanor sits. I can smell her perfume, powder and citrus, carefully designed to be remembered. I meet neither of their eyes. Instead, I look at the folders, at the red tabs marking mortgage transfers, wire logs, credit applications. Cynthia opens the main file and slides 2 stapled documents across the table. Mr. and Mrs. Holloway, she says, tone preternaturally calm. This is a copy of a police report already filed with NYPD regarding identity theft in the amount of $60,000. The report includes the fraudulent credit cards and personal loan opened in Ms. Vance's name, mailed to your Westchester address. We have statements, application dates, and IP metadata. We have chain of custody for the mail. Eleanor's hand freezes over the paper. Arthur doesn't look down. This is a family matter, he says. We don't drag our name through the courts because our daughter had a fit. Cynthia's expression doesn't change. The credit bureaus require a report to correct Ms. Vance's file. This is not optional. She turns a page, the paper whispering like a blade. The district attorney's office has signaled preliminary interest. We are here to determine whether that interest becomes a recommendation for prosecution or a file marked resolved. Eleanor's eyes find mine, suddenly wet. Shelby, baby, we were just... She swallows. We needed help. We thought you understood. Arthur's fist lands on the table, not a slam. He's too controlled to let it be sloppy, but a sharp drop that makes the water glasses jump. I'm not signing anything, he says. I won't be extorted by my own child. I watch my breath move in and out, steady, like counting tiles. Extortion, I say softly, and the word is almost curious in my mouth. What would you call opening credit in someone else's name? Don't be dramatic, Eleanor whispers, voice cracking for effect. It was a mistake. We meant to tell you. Cynthia flips to the page with the login logs. 2 applications were completed from a home office workstation in Westchester at 3:14 p.m. and 3:32 p.m. on a Thursday last spring, authenticated via an IP you pay for, Mr. Holloway. Another was initiated the week your daughter's tax return was processed. She slides a printed screenshot forward. The security question answers were correct on the first try. Arthur's face colors, a slow deepening. We are not criminals. Intent, Cynthia says calmly, is a thing prosecutors evaluate. So is restitution. Eleanor clutches her pearls. Restitution, she repeats, as if the syllables are a foreign object in her mouth. She turns to me with sudden urgency, dropping the tremble. What do you want, Shelby? I feel the old program boot up. Say you want peace. Say you want us safe. Say you want family dinners. I let it load, and then I close it. I want my name back, I say, and I want to stop paying for your life. Cynthia places a second stack in front of them. Option 1, she says. We proceed with the DA. Identity theft, fraud, possible conspiracy, depending on who touched what. It will be messy. She looks at Eleanor with almost kind eyes. You will not like messy. She taps the other stack. Option 2. Ms. Vance advocates for probation recommendations and non-custodial outcomes provided you agree today to full immediate restitution of the $60,000 in fraudulent debt to be paid via the sale of your Westchester home. The sale will be handled by a neutral escrow we've prearranged. The proceeds will pay creditors directly. Any remainder, if any, will be released to you. Ms. Vance will also terminate all recurring support payments. All of this is documented here. She points to signature lines. The room drops a degree. Arthur barks a laugh that fails halfway through. We don't have 60,000, he says. That's the point. We needed help. Then sell the house, Cynthia says, as if discussing weather. Your mortgage is current only because your daughter made it so. The market is strong. You'll move quickly. Eleanor stares at the papers, then at me. For a second, one I almost miss. Her face empties of performance. The mask slips. I see the calculation, the fear, and behind it, something like shame she doesn't know how to wear. We built a life, she says, small. What will we do without it? Live it, I say, and I mean it almost as kindness. Silence stretches, a taut string. Arthur reaches for a pen, then stops, then starts again, his hand shaking imperceptibly. You think this makes you powerful, he mutters. You think this is victory. Cynthia keeps her voice neutral. This isn't victory, it's reality. He signs. The pen scratches loud in the humming quiet. Eleanor's hand trembles as she takes the pen. The pearl necklace clicks against the table, one soft bead at a time. She signs too. A sound leaves her, half sob, half exhale, that I used to translate as love. Today it's just air leaving a closed room. Cynthia gathers the executed pages with ritual care. Thank you, she says. Escrow will contact you this afternoon. You'll have brokerage recommendations by end of day. Please understand. She glances at the blue tab folder marked Supplemental. That if additional accounts appear, Ms. Vance reserves the right to amend. Eleanor's gaze flicks to the blue tab. Additional accounts? We don't anticipate it, Cynthia replies, bland as water. If there are any, they will be resolved through the same channel. She doesn't look at me, but I know what's inside. Aunt Beatrice's certified mail receipts she emailed at dawn. The ones that place a letter addressed to me in Arthur's hand 2 summers ago at a P.O. box near the Westchester post office. I won't need it today. But I like knowing it exists. Arthur pushes back his chair. Some of the bluster has drained out of him, leaving paper where steel used to be. He looks at me not like a daughter, not like an ATM, but like a stranger who ruined his plan. This isn't over, he says, because he needs the line. My mouth shapes an old sentence, and for a heartbeat I nearly say, I know, Dad. Instead, I say nothing. Sometimes power is the absence of a reply. They stand. Eleanor hesitates, eyes searching my face. Can we talk? Just us? She looks so small, I feel something try to reach for her out of habit. I keep my hands on the table. Not today, I say. It comes out gentle. It also comes out final. They leave. The door closes. The hum of lights returns, as if the room had been holding its breath. The quiet after a battle is strange. It doesn't feel like music. Not yet. It feels like the echo of something heavy being moved. I sit there, not moving, while Cynthia aligns the signed pages into a tidy stack. You did well, she says. Not warm, just true. I didn't cry, I hear myself say, surprised. You grieved a long time ago, she replies, slipping the documents into a folder. Today, you executed a plan. We walk out into a corridor bright with morning. The city looks different, as if someone cleaned the glass. Near the elevator, my phone buzzes. A text from Julian. How did it go? I stare at the screen, the words softening my sternum. I type back, signed, restitution, house sale. It's happening. 3 dots appear. I'm proud of you. I realize I've been waiting my whole life to hear a version of that sentence that didn't cost me something essential. In the lobby downstairs, the air is cool and ordinary. People pass carrying coffees and open laptops, talking deadlines and deliveries. No one here knows that upstairs a family just ended an old lie. Outside, sunlight slants across the sidewalk, cutting bright paths through shadow. I step into it. Across the street, in the glass of a storefront, I catch a flicker. My reflection. Shoulders no longer slumped, hands free of bags that aren't mine. I think of the words Cynthia used, reality, and how it can be a country you immigrate to, one form at a time. The binders in my tote are heavy, but the heaviness is the kind that belongs to me. Back in my apartment, I take the blue tab folder out and set it on the table. I don't open it. I pour water, text Julian again to ask if he and Maya will come over Friday. He replies with a string of knife and onion emojis, our shorthand for cooking something complicated and crying from the onions, not from the past. I laugh for real, a short, disbelieving sound that startles me into quiet. On my counter, Arthur's note still sits in its sleeve. You owe us. Fix this. I slide it behind a newer page stamped with a case number and the words received and filed. Then I open my notebook and write 3 lines beneath this morning's list. 4. Breathe in rooms they can't enter. 5. Answer only to fax. 6. Prepare for escrow call at 3:00 p.m. The strategist keeps the pen moving. The woman keeps her hands steady. The daughter stops being an ATM. The air in the room feels sharper, less forgiving, more honest. The hum of the fridge, the city's far siren, the way afternoon light settles on my floorboards like a quiet verdict. I stand at the window and let it all be exactly what it is. Nothing less, nothing softened. This is not victory, it's reality. And for the first time in years, reality is on my side. The morning after the meeting, my apartment feels like it's been rearranged while I slept. The air is lighter. The silence doesn't accuse. I wake without that instant spike of dread, the one that used to arrive before consciousness fully did. My phone blinks with a single notification from Cynthia. Escrow confirmed. Property listing live by noon. I stare at the message for a long time, then set the phone down and let the news settle into the walls. It's not joy exactly. It's a clean emptiness. By the end of the week, the Holloway estate hits the market. 5 bedrooms, marble foyer, 2 acres of carefully landscaped debt. The listing photos appear online. The chandelier I once polished as a teenager for allowance. The staircase where Eleanor staged Christmas portraits. The window seat where I used to hide with textbooks and earbuds. The broker describes it as timeless elegance with suburban serenity. I call it evidence. Cynthia handles everything. Within days, offers flood in. When the sale closes, the escrow company emails me a breakdown. Every creditor marked paid in full. A line item reads, restitution disbursement, $60,000. Source, property sale, case closed. That's it. No ceremony, no apology. Just math doing what morality wouldn't. Julian calls that night. It's done, I tell him. I saw the listing went to sold, he says, quiet. They're moving into a rental near the train line. Dad hates it. No doorman. Something in his tone carries both sympathy and relief. How's Mom? I ask. Mostly in bed, says she's exhausted, but he hesitates. She's not calling you anymore. The words fall softly, like the end of static. That's progress, I say. He laughs, tired but real. It is. We talk for almost an hour, about everything except them. He tells me about a student who won a scholarship, about how Maya's garden survived the heat wave. Ordinary things. I realize, with quiet wonder, that ordinary feels extraordinary. When we hang up, I leave the phone face down and watch the city blink through my window. Each light a separate life I don't have to carry. Weeks pass. My therapist calls it integration, the point when survival rewrites its job description. I cook. I sleep 8 hours without checking my phone. I delete my budgeting app alerts because there's finally nothing to monitor except my own expenses. I start running again. Small things, microscopic freedoms, building like dust motes in sunlight. One afternoon, while reviewing quarterly projections for work, my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but some reflex, old or curious, makes me answer. Shelby, a voice says, softer than I remember. It's your father. I say nothing. We're having trouble with the deposit on the new apartment, he continues. It's temporary. You know how these banks are. I just thought, maybe. The line hums with that old expectation, the gravitational pull of his certainty. 5 years ago, I would have been reaching for my laptop already, my fingers ready to fix. That isn't my problem, I say. My voice doesn't rise. It just lands, flat and sure. A pause. I can hear him breathing, the sound smaller now, like he's trying to find the version of me that used to flinch. Shelby, please, he says finally. I end the call. Then I block the number. The silence afterward is so clean it almost rings. 3 months later, I move into my own condo. 2 bedrooms, high windows overlooking Central Park. The view stops me every morning. Sunlight spilling across the treetops, the city unfolding like a living map. The restitution money made the perfect down payment. Justice with a view, Cynthia joked when we signed the papers. I almost smiled. The first week, I can't stop catching myself in reflections. Storefront glass, the elevator mirror, even my computer screen. Each time surprised by how unguarded my face looks. The constant micro calculations, the soft brace against impact, gone. I throw a housewarming party. Julian and Maya arrive first, arms full of groceries. "You're not ordering takeout for your own party," Maya insists. Julian mixes cocktails with the practiced ease of someone who finally enjoys being here. My therapist brings homemade bread. My financial advisor and his husband show up with a plant I'll probably keep alive. The apartment fills with laughter that doesn't echo against guilt. At 8:15, the doorbell rings again. I open it to find Chloe standing there, a brown paper bag clutched to her chest. She looks smaller. No makeup, hair pulled into a simple ponytail, jeans instead of designer tailoring. "Hi," she says. Her voice barely reaches over the music inside. I didn't know if I should come." "You came," I say. She nods, thrusting the bag forward. "It's wine. $15. I checked." A weak laugh escapes her. "I thought you'd appreciate the symmetry." I look at the price tag she forgot to peel off. $15.99. My lips twitch. The last time we talked, 15,000 was the number that detonated us. "Thank you," I say. "Come in." Her eyes widen. Surprise, gratitude, maybe confusion. "Are you sure?" "Yes, just don't spill anything on the rug." Inside, she lingers near the kitchen, unsure where to stand. Julian hugs her first. Maya pours her a drink. Slowly, conversation weaves around her until she's part of the noise, not the ghost of it. Later, when I pass by, she touches my arm. "I'm in therapy," she whispers, "and working at a cafe. It's not glamorous, but I'm learning." Something flickers in me. Recognition, not forgiveness. "Good," I say. "Keep learning." She nods. "Shelby, I'm sorry." I don't rush to fill the silence that follows. It's not absolution, not yet, but it's something clean enough to build on. Later that night, when the laughter softens into background hum, I step onto the balcony. The park below glows in threads of gold, streetlights tracing its veins. Behind me, someone opens a bottle. Someone else tells a story that makes Julian snort into his drink. I smile without meaning to. I think of the dinners that used to pass for love, rooms full of performance, debt disguised as devotion. I think of Eleanor's practiced tears, Arthur's sharpened laughter, Chloe's rehearsed charm. I think of how long I mistook endurance for loyalty. And then I think of this moment, simple, unspectacular, honest, and realize this is what survival looks like when it stops needing to prove itself. My phone buzzes once on the counter inside. A new email, sender name hidden by the preview. I don't open it. I already know who it's from. Instead, I delete it without reading. The world doesn't tilt. It just stays steady. Behind me, Chloe laughs at something Maya says. It's small, awkward, real. I take a sip of wine and feel the night air cool against my skin. For 29 years, I was the investment, the retirement plan, the rescue fund. Standing here now, I am none of those things. I'm just Shelby, and I am free.